The promotion that changed nothing. You remember the moment clearly. The email, the meeting, the sentence that made your heart beat a little faster. We're happy to offer you a salary of $50,000 per year. For a few seconds, everything feels different. You imagine stability, relief, breathing room. You're no longer struggling asterisk. You're not asterisk behind asterisk. You finally crossed that invisible line into doing okay. You update your LinkedIn headline. You stop stressing over every small purchase. Maybe you celebrate dinner somewhere nicer than usual. Nothing crazy, just normal. For the first time, money feels quiet, and that silence feels like success. You're still checking your bank balance before weekends, still doing mental math at the grocery store. And that's the moment the confusion hits. Asterisk, asterisk, how am I making more money, yet feeling poorer than before? Asterisk, asterisk. This isn't a budgeting failure. It isn't laziness. And it definitely isn't because you're bad with money. It's something much deeper. Welcome to the asterisk, asterisk $50,000 illusion. $50,000 is not $50,000. It's a number designed to look impressive on paper while quietly shrinking the moment it touches real life. Because the moment that salary becomes real, it starts leaking. Taxes, insurance, benefits, mandatory deductions you didn't think about when you saw that big number. That $50,000 a year doesn't arrive as a lump sum of freedom. It arrives in smaller, disappointing pieces. By the time everything is taken out, month asterisk asterisk, sometimes less. And that's where the illusion starts cracking. Your brain doesn't think in asterisk net income asterisk. It thinks in asterisk asterisk identity asterisk asterisk. It hears $50,000 and decides who you are now. You're no longer someone who should struggle. You're someone who should be comfortable. Someone who should have things figured out. Your expectations rise instantly, but your reality doesn't. And that gap between expectation and reality becomes stress. Let's slow down and look at what actually happens next. Rent comes first. In most cities, not luxury, not prime location, just something safe, clean, and close enough to work. Then transportation, because having a job means getting to the job. Car payment, fuel, insurance, then utilities, internet, phone, groceries that cost more every month but somehow never feel better. By the time the basics are paid, what's left isn't freedom. It's survival money. Money that has to stretch across food, emergencies, social life, savings, and your future. One unexpected expense and everything wobbles. This is where $50,000 becomes dangerous. Because it asterisk asterisk looks asterisk asterisk like enough. When you made less, expectations were low. You knew you were broke. You acted like it. Now, society expects something different from you. Friends assume you're doing fine. Family thinks you're stable. Even you start believing that stress is your fault. After all, you make good money. So when things feel tight, you don't blame the system. You blame yourself. That guilt changes how you spend. You don't buy things because you need them. The better clothes, the nicer phone, the occasional I deserve this purchase. Not because you're irresponsible, but because your income asterisk promised asterisk you a better life. And your brain is desperately trying to make that promise feel real. This is where the illusion turns into a trap. Because $50,000 doesn't give you wealth. It gives you asterisk asterisk access asterisk asterisk. Access to credit cards, loans, monthly payments that look harmless on their own. And slowly, quietly, your future income gets pre-spent. You're not drowning all at once. You're sinking inch by inch. The worst part? From the outside, you look successful. You dress better. You speak confidently. You seem stable. No one sees the anxiety. No one sees the calculations. No one sees the silent panic when something unexpected appears. You don't asterisk look asterisk broke, but you asterisk asterisk feel asterisk asterisk it every day. And this is only the beginning. Because once you're inside the $50,000 illusion, the system changes how you think about money, time, work, and even your self-worth. That the next raise will fix everything. But what if the illusion doesn't disappear at $50,000? What if it just changes shape? The middle class trap nobody warned you about asterisk. Once you're inside the $50,000 illusion, something strange happens. You stop being poor, but you don't become secure. You enter a quiet financial no man's land where the rules change, but nobody explains them to you. Yet reality refuses to cooperate. And this is where the trap closes. At lower incomes, the system at least admits you're struggling. You qualify for assistance. You get reduced rates. You're allowed to say, I can't afford that without shame. But at around $50,000, those safety nets disappear. On paper, you're doing fine. In reality, you're one bad month away from chaos. You earn too much to get help, but too little to build momentum. You're strong enough to stay afloat, but never strong enough to swim forward. You can pay rent. You can keep the lights on. You can show up to work looking put together, but you can't get ahead. There's no surplus, no buffer, no room for mistakes, just enough money to keep you working and worrying. The most dangerous part of this trap isn't financial, it's psychological. Because now, when money feels tight, you don't think asterisk the system is broken asterisk. You think asterisk I must be doing something wrong asterisk. And that belief slowly eats away at your confidence. You start consuming financial advice aggressively, budgeting apps, spreadsheets, podcasts promising freedom if you just try harder. You track every dollar. You cut small pleasures. You optimize relentlessly. And yet nothing changes. Because the math itself doesn't work. No amount of discipline can create money that isn't there. But instead of questioning the math, you question yourself. This is where shame enters the picture. You feel embarrassed talking about money. You downplay your stress. You pretend you're fine. After all, you make $50,000. What right do you have to complain? So you suffer quietly. The system benefits from this silence because shame keeps you isolated, and isolation keeps you compliant. You look around and see people who seem to be doing better than you. Same salary, same age, but nicer apartments, better cars, more vacations. Social media makes it worse. Everyone looks like they're thriving, and you start wondering what secret they know that you don't. What you don't see is the debt, the family support, the financial head starts they never mention. This comparison creates pressure to look the part. You don't want to be the only one saying no. You don't want to seem cheap. You don't want to admit you can't afford things. So you stretch. You justify. You tell yourself it's temporary. This is where lifestyle inflation quietly locks you in. A slightly better place. A slightly newer car. A few more subscriptions. Occasional convenience purchases. Nothing reckless. Nothing dramatic. Just enough to erase whatever breathing room you had. Because they feel small, manageable, harmless. But together they form a cage. Each payment is a promise you made to your future income without realizing how fragile that income actually is. Lose the job? Get sick? Unexpected expense? Everything collapses at once. And yet, the world treats you like you're secure. Banks will offer you loans. Credit cards will raise your limits. Landlords will approve your applications. You're trusted but not protected. Given responsibility without support. It's a dangerous combination. You measure your worth by stability you don't actually feel. You feel behind in life, behind in milestones, behind in adulthood. You're working hard, doing everything right, and still stuck. That creates quiet resentment, not toward others, but toward yourself. You start thinking, maybe I chose the wrong career. Maybe I waited too long. Maybe I messed up somewhere. But here's the truth. But because this income range was never designed to create freedom, it's designed to maintain labor. The cruel irony? This is also the income level where people stop asking for help. Because asking feels embarrassing. You're supposed to be past that stage. So instead of support, you get advice. Generic, detached, unrealistic. Just save more. Just invest early. Just hustle harder. As if exhaustion is a character flaw. You begin to understand something unsettling. The system doesn't reward effort. It rewards positioning. And at $50,000, you're positioned perfectly to keep running without moving. This realization is uncomfortable. If that belief collapses, you're left with a much scarier question. Asterisk asterisk, if this isn't enough, then what is asterisk asterisk? And that question leads people to their next mistake. They chase higher income without fixing the illusion. Why more money doesn't fix the problem asterisk. At some point, a dangerous thought settles in. If $50,000 feels tight, then surely the answer is simple. Asterisk asterisk, make more money, asterisk asterisk. It feels logical. It feels mature. It feels responsible. After all, so you aim higher. You push harder. You chase the promotion. You job hop. You grind. And eventually it happens. The number goes up. $60,000. $70,000. Maybe even $75,000. For a brief moment, it feels like the breakthrough you were waiting for. And then nothing changes. The stress returns. The anxiety creeps back in. Your account balance looks familiar, not in a good way. The relief you expected never arrives. And that's when the realization hits. This is where the paycheck illusion reveals its second layer. Because income doesn't rise alone, expectations rise faster. When your salary increases, your brain immediately recalibrates what normal looks like. You no longer compare yourself to where you came from. You compare yourself to where you think you should be now. And that invisible upgrade happens instantly. You don't consciously decide to spend more. You simply stop questioning certain expenses. The place that once felt like a stretch now feels reasonable. The car upgrade feels deserved. Convenience feels justified. You're not splurging. You're just living like someone at your income level. This is the most misunderstood part of money psychology. Lifestyle inflation isn't about greed. It's about asterisk asterisk identity alignment asterisk asterisk. Your spending changes to match who you believe you are now. And once spending aligns with identity, cutting back feels like failure, not discipline. That's why people who earn more often feel just as stuck. They didn't fix the illusion. They expanded it. Higher income also unlocks a new level of financial complexity. Bigger bills, bigger commitments, bigger risks. Your margin doesn't grow the way you expect. It just gets louder. And then there's credit. At higher incomes, credit becomes more generous and more dangerous. Limits increase. Offers improve. Interest becomes invisible. You're trusted more, which means you can fall harder. Not because they're careless, but because their lifestyle. Now asterisk requires asterisk that income to function. Any disruption becomes catastrophic. You're no longer stressed about small purchases. You're stressed about maintaining the entire structure of your life. And here's the cruel part. From the outside, you look even more successful. Your life appears stable, impressive, comfortable, which means the pressure to maintain it grows. You can't go backwards now. At this stage, money anxiety transforms. It's no longer about survival. It's about asterisk asterisk maintenance asterisk asterisk. And maintenance is exhausting. You begin measuring your life in terms of monthly obligations. Not goals, not dreams, not freedom, just payments. Every raise becomes pre-spent. Every win gets absorbed. And the finish line keeps moving. Not because they're ungrateful, but because the system expands around them. This is also where burnout begins. You're working harder than ever, yet feeling no closer to peace. You can't slow down. You can't take risks. You can't step off the treadmill. Your income supports your lifestyle, but traps your time. At this point, many people feel betrayed. They did everything right. They followed the advice. They climbed. So why does freedom still feel out of reach? The uncomfortable answer? Because income alone doesn't create freedom. And most people never gain control. They just gain responsibility. Here's the pattern no one explains. More income without structure leads to bigger cages. More income without intention leads to louder stress. More income without margin leads to fragile lives. The illusion teaches you to chase numbers. But numbers don't fix systems. They just feed them. This is where many people double down. They hustle harder. They optimize more. They sacrifice rest. Believing freedom is just one raise away. and that belief keeps them trapped for decades. But there's another layer to this illusion, one that has nothing to do with spending, and everything to do with small amounts, recurring charges, monthly friction. By now, the pattern should be painfully clear. The problem was never that you didn't earn enough. It was meant to keep you functional. The $50,000 salary doesn't fail you suddenly. It drains you slowly, through rent that grows faster than raises, through costs that rise quietly, through expectations that expand automatically, through 1,000 tiny expenses that never feel dangerous on their own, but together erase your margin. Subscriptions you barely use, convenience you rely on to survive exhaustion, monthly payments that feel harmless until they own you. This is not reckless spending. This is *** modern ***. The result? You don't build wealth. You build tolerance. You learn how to stretch paychecks, how to delay purchases, how to say maybe next month to yourself. You learn how to look stable while feeling fragile. And that skill becomes your invisible full-time job. You internalize the struggle. You think the stress means you're doing something wrong, so you try harder, and harder, and harder. But effort was never the missing piece. When there is no margin, every decision feels heavy. Every invite feels risky. Every expense feels loaded. Every plan feels conditional. You don't live proactively. You live reactively. This is why the illusion is so dangerous, not because it makes you poor. And here's the most uncomfortable truth of all. For millions of people, this is not a temporary phase. This is the default setting. Decades pass inside this income range. Life milestones get delayed. Dreams shrink quietly. People don't fail. They adapt. The system rewards adaptation, not escape. So what's the real outcome of the $50,000 life? You become dependable, responsible, exhausted. You do everything right except win. But here's where this story changes. Because understanding the illusion does something powerful. It removes shame. Once you see it, the weight shifts. You stop asking, "What's wrong with me?" and start asking, "Why is this designed this way?" That shift alone is freedom. The goal was never to shame you into budgeting harder. That your exhaustion is logical. That your frustration is rational. You were promised that effort equals stability. But effort was sold as a substitute for leverage. And leverage was never given to you. So what do you do with this realization? You stop chasing numbers blindly. You stop measuring success by salary alone. You stop believing that the next raise automatically fixes the system. Control over time. Control over obligations. Control over risk. Not luxury. Not appearances. Not lifestyle. You begin asking better questions. How fragile is my life if my income stops? How many of my expenses are optional, but normalized? How much of my stress comes from maintaining an image? These questions don't make you rich overnight. And that's the real result of understanding the $50,000 trap. You stop participating unconsciously. Some people will hear this and feel discouraged. But this isn't a message of hopelessness. It's a message of clarity. Clarity means you stop beating yourself up. Clarity means you stop copying lifestyles that don't fit your reality. Clarity means you stop confusing survival with failure. You realize something powerful. You weren't bad with money. Money was bad at telling the truth. The truth is this: a salary can keep you alive, but only structure, margin, and intention create freedom. And freedom doesn't start at a specific income. It starts when your life costs less than your stress threshold, when your obligations don't require constant anxiety, when your choices aren't controlled by fear of one bad month.